This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
I'm your host, Jason Glick, and we're back!
After a long hiatus.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll be back in a more semi-regular schedule, bi-weekly from here on out.
Yeah.
But we had to come back, do one more before the year ended.
Yep.
Yeah. And what are we picking for the last one of the year? Well, you'll notice that there was another comic movie that came out on Christmas Day, Spirit.
The Spirit.
Yeah, as directed by Frank Miller of Sin City and 300 and Batman: The Dark Knight Returns fame. Now, I've seen the trailers for the movie, and, well, I don't know, some of them look bad, but I don't know, they look very, very deathly serious. Like, very much like what would happen if the man who did Sin City took on the Spirit. Yes.
But that's exactly what happened.
Yes. And the thing is, though, like, anyone who's read The Spirit can say that, like, that the Sin City look and feel of it, it's probably like the exact opposite of how the original series is in practice. But we'll be getting to that at the end of the podcast, because I figure, hey, since Miller is making this big solo movie writing and directing debut, it'd be a good time to look back and look at all the stuff he's done in the past. And we're better start in the past with Miller than with Batman, because, well, if anyone can say that, hey, like Miller and Batman, it's like they work great together. Miller's done some of his most legendary works with the character, including The Dark Knight Returns. Mm-hmm. Now, we recently didn't talk about this in the Batman podcast a while back, because, well, I really can't really add anything to say about what's been said about this. I mean, it's a story of Batman who's been retired for some years, and then after I got
a question for you.
Yes.
My question. The Dark Knight Returns sounds like a sequel to the movie we just saw.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right, I know.
Miller commented that, hey, you know what? After all these years making Batman movies, it's not that they finally got the title right.
Because it was The Dark Knight, but then this was called The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. No relation to the movie. That's actually what I wanted to point out.
Yeah, no relation
outside
to
of the fact that it's Batman.
No, it's like if you're looking for a pseudo sequel to the Dark Knight, go pick up Joker by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo, which hopefully at some point we'll be talking about with the No Podcast for Old Men guys.
Yep.
Yeah, but The Dark Knight Returns is the story of an old, aging Batman who retired from the crime-fighting scene years ago, only to be drawn back in after Gotham City has gone straight to hell, like in terms of corruption and this new mutant gang called the Mutants. Now, as Batman comes back, you figure like Gotham City's legendary crime fighter, having him come back to save everyone from all this stuff, that's going to be the good thing, right? Well, the best part about The Dark Knight Returns is that it also suggests that Batman's just as responsible for all the chaos and destruction that's wrought in Gotham City as criminals are themselves. Because as he comes back, you're also faced with the Joker, because like the Joker has been catatonic all these years, but as soon as Batman comes on, figures, hey, I gotta go and do my thing again. So it's a good look at like about the destructive nature of Batman. It's like and also how badass he is, because you can look, because like it's got depth and it's also got like a great amount of surface style as well, which is what everyone imitated after it came out.
Right.
Yeah. Now, for years though, like this is all Miller did with it. I mean, like then years later, back in the early 2000s, he went and did The Dark Knight Strikes Again. Now you hear Frank Miller doing a sequel to The Dark Knight Returns. Figure that's gonna be awesome, isn't it? Well, let's just say that people were, to put it mildly, very, very disappointed with this. For me, though, it's like I look at this and I think with The Dark Knight Strikes Again, it's got the mad joy of someone who's built up this huge sandcastle, like this awesome, awe-inspiring spectacle that is, say, The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Strikes Again has the joy of someone just destroying that sandcastle that he built up. Because it's I don't know, it's like, to say that it has a plot might also be stretching it. I mean, it's where The Dark Knight Returns like really didn't involve a lot of the DC universe proper. This one begins with all the superheroes in various forms of imprisonment or exile or working under the government, as Superman is, and the government being controlled by, of all people, Lex Luthor, because he'd be the guy to do all this stuff. And basically, and you got Batman And Carrie Kelly, the Robin from Dark Knight Returns, now assuming the mantle of Catgirl, just going around and like fighting this totalitarianism state, just by being the badasses they are. Now, I reread this again recently, and I'm just wondering, I'm just trying to figure out exactly why I didn't like this so much, because really, it doesn't feel like a sequel to The Dark Knight Returns at all. I mean, it's in terms of artistic style, it borrows a lot from Frank Miller's Sin City works. That it's very loose, very impressionistic, and like it's just all over the place. I mean, like it works. You're able to follow all the style, but then like all the talking heads offering their commentary on the situation at hand just gets to be ridiculous, and just like all the superheroes like tend to like corrupt the plot a little. I mean, it's like they just seen all these characters. I mean, like I can't say that there's really like I really had like a very strong idea of what he wanted to do with these characters. I mean, they're just kind of like there. They're just there shouting. He says he's trying to cut to their core essence, but like it's just so much. It just tends to be so much noise at the end. I mean, to be honest, Batman and Robin's Spandex Orgy might have been a better title for the sequel, because it just gets to be so completely over the top, but really doesn't give the reader any reason to care. Though I will admit that how Batman figured out that Dick Grayson was the new Joker, that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Now, one thing I just wanted to point out about this is like, the first, The Dark Knight Returns, is really, if I'm not mistaken, probably the catalyst for rebooting the entire Batman franchise. We probably wouldn't have a lot of the stuff that, like, you wouldn't have the Warner Brothers animated series, not less at least the Tim Burton version of Batman that was released in '89, because it was released before that.
That's true.
It was very influential, correct?
Yeah, it's like this is the Dark Knight Returns. It's hard to overstate the impact it's had on Batman over the years. In a sense, it's just getting Batman back to his serious roots after years and years of comedy like that. After years, like everyone knew Batman from the TV series.
Yeah.
Then this comes out and shows you how badass Batman can be. I mean, it's influenced everything from the Burton movies, more specifically like the later Christopher Nolan works.
Exactly.
So really, Batman Begins actually borrows more from Frank Miller and artist David Mazzucchelli's Batman Year One.
Okay.
Which basically shows you like Batman just as he is starting out as a crime fighter, and also paralleling his story, Commissioner Gordon just as he's arrived in Gotham and is just a lowly lieutenant. And it's interesting because Gordon he's got a bigger part of the story here as Batman, because he's actually got probably kind of the more interesting role, because looking at Batman, seeing him as a rookie, like getting a feel for how to do things right, how to properly infiltrate the criminal element and take them on. Gordon is the only good cop in a sea of corrupt cops in the entire precinct, and just the fact that he's actually able to actually survives his first year here is an achievement of itself.
Right. Hence, you're saying the influence on what was it called? The first Nolan movie, Batman.
And this also a lot of the what's also notable is that Year One basically focuses on gangsters and specifically. Like, it's not Batman fight. You're not going to learn about Batman's first encounters with the Joker, the Two-Face, the Scarecrow, all the other famous movie villains. It's just Batman fighting a bunch of thugs and gangsters, like the Roman, Falcone, who's also got a brief role in the first one. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's Batman, two major Batman works, The Long Halloween and Dark Victory,
right, also
pick up what happens to these gangsters and shows you the transition from Batman fighting a bunch of gangsters to really colorful criminals like the Joker and all.
Right.
Yeah. But aside from Batman, Miller, actually prior to Batman, Miller made his mark working with a quote-unquote Batman-esque superhero. That'd be Daredevil from Marvel Comics.
Okay.
Now he did work for years on Daredevil, and then went over to DC to do some Batman stuff, and then he's been back to Marvel he's been back to Daredevil a couple of times in later years. I mean, he hasn't worked with Marvel, I think, since the early '90s, but Well, I haven't read a lot of his Daredevil stuff. It's available in 3 trade paperbacks: Daredevil Visionaries 1, 2, and 3. What I had read is actually pretty good. One of his stories, called Born Again, is basically the story of what happens when a superhero's identity is made known to his worst enemy. Like in this story, Matt Murdock's ex-girlfriend Karen Page sells out his identity to the Kingpin for a hit. And like as soon as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, knows about this, he goes about trying just putting the screws to Murdock's life in the worst way possible. Like he has his assets frozen. He has his law license revoked. He has his apartment blown up. Everything. It's horrible. And then, but even then, like even as he drives Matt Murdock to the very edge, driving to like confront him one-on-one, and after the Kingpin beats him down and then tosses him in a car to be dumped into the bay. He as soon as he finds out what happened to the car, there was no corpse. So, as he says, he's talking that the man without nothing is a man without fear. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and the rest of the story is basically, and while I like the idea of what he's doing here, like what happens when the superhero's identity is exposed, the fact that like the 7-issue trade paperback basically ends with the status quo restored, kind of lessens the whole impact. I mean, it's a very well done series. I mean, like it's also some strong art by his year 1 collaborator David Mazzucchelli. It doesn't read like your standard 80s Marvel comic at all. I mean, it doesn't have like all the standard Marvel histrionics and all. I mean, even the superhero presence is kept at a minimum until the very end, when they have to bring in the Avengers to take out this the superpowered hitman named Nuke, who the Kingpin is called up from South America to take out Daredevil. I mean, it's like I said, the feel, like it's got a very very crime fiction-y feel, and it doesn't feel like a real straightforward superhero book at all. And that's what I liked about it. Like I said, it would have been nice if he hadn't completely reset the status quo at the end. But well, I mean that's the way the superhero books. So yeah, also worth mentioning is his take on the origin story of Daredevil, called The Man Without Fear, which he did with artist John Romita Jr. Yeah, if you're looking for the definitive Daredevil origin, this comes highly recommended as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but in recent years, a lot of Miller's only work, and so to speak, his best work, is done through Dark Horse Comics.
Okay.
And his major series through Dark Horse is, of course, Sin City. Now, I would recommend just about all the Sin City volumes. They're all great stuff. And while people get a lot of flack for while Miller gets a lot of flack for talking about having like characters being whores and scumbags and just like low lives. I mean, this is kind of the series that really made fostered that stereotype on him. And if I was going to recommend any Sin City story, it had to be A Dame to Kill For.
Okay.
So good, in fact, that Robert Rodriguez says that once he gets around to making the second Sin City movie, this is what they're going to take. They're going to base it off of.
So there's a hint, anyone that wants to one up on that story.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's A Dame to Kill For basically is a story of Dwight, a former world class photographer who's now makes his living through photographing people. Doing private investigator type, like photographing people in affairs, like for their significant others. Now he meets up with his girlfriend, an old flame, like the true one love of his life. Basically tells her that the guy she's in with now is slowly killing her, and so she needs Dwight's help to save herself and extricate herself from this horrible relationship. Now Dwight, being the guy that he is, agrees to help her out, but then he finds out that the situation is a little more complex than that. Now the story is great in the sense that it takes so many twists and turns that you're never quite sure exactly where it's going to go next. I mean, it's always unpredictable, and it's the whole hard-boiled private eye stylings of it just make it a really intense read. It's some of the parts in it are just scary. Like what happens to the cop who gets involved with Dwight's ex. Yeah, it's this is really high class stuff. Now, Miller's other major work for Dark Horse, I'm sure you've all heard of, that'd be 300. Mm-hmm. Now, since a lot of Miller's stuff in the past has been Persia set in the present day, with regular people in the low end of life.
Yeah.
This one, as you know, takes place back in the early AD, or is it back in
no, BC.
BC.
It would even be BC. Or what is that, BCE, before the Common Era?
Yeah.
For anyone to keep track that way.
Yeah.
I believe it was, let's see here. I want to say it's like the Hellenistic era. That'd be totally wrong. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, as anyone who sees the movies know, again, it's the story of the Greeks of the 300 Greeks who took a stand against the armies of Persia in order to stave off their advance before they came and crushed the bastion of early civilization. Mm-hmm. And even though it's like like I said, it's back in such in the past. Miller does a great job of myth making with the story,
right? If you will, it's based on a true story.
Yeah, that's true. It's based on a true legend, I guess.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and he does a good job, setting up all the stories, all the characters with it. I mean, just giving them a very legendary and epic feel about all of them. Though anyone who's had who's had a fear of seeing penises in comic book works, stay the hell away from this, because this has probably got the most amount of man crotch I've ever seen, in a comic book, to date. So, yeah, and it's also got an interesting set print style, because Miller did the entire story in big 2-page spreads. Mm-hmm. So the series is twice as long. Physically speaking, it's only about 5 issues. But the series is 2 days only available in a nice $30 hardcover, which, like I said, I got mine through Amazon. But like I said, if you see this, it's well worth picking up.
Yeah.
Now, I've been talking about Miller for a little while now, and you wonder, well, what's this guy with these hard-boiled, really mean sensibilities? How does this guy get to do the Spirit? Well, I'm guessing one reason he wanted to do it is because he wanted to pay tribute to Will Eisner, one of the early masters of the comic book form.
Right. Now, he didn't author this.
No. To date, I don't believe Miller has done any actual Spirit comics.
Right.
Only thing he's done is the Spirit movie, which has just come out.
Right.
Yeah. And, like I said, I haven't seen the movie yet. I can't say I really plan to, due to the fact that the trailers were okay. And the reviews have been, well, awful from what I hear. Mm-hmm. So I'm really not going to bother unless I get some friends telling me how good it looks. But the Spirit comic books done by Will Eisner look to be the complete opposite of the style of the movie, because this one looks like the movie itself looks ripped from the page, ripped from the style of Sin City.
Right.
The actual comics, I picked up a copy of The Best of the Spirit, mm-hmm. and it's very, very colorful, very very lighthearted in places, actually. I mean, the fact the stories collected here came out in the 40s and 50s, and the fact that they're still readable at all is an achievement in and of themselves. Mm-hmm. But then you also get aside from the Spirit, who is Denny Colt, he's not really a superhero at all. I mean, he's just a freelance private eye who works for the police occasionally, who gets hit with this chemical that basically causes him to put his state of suspended animation. And then he wakes up, busts out of his grave, and now that he's dead, he figures, well, a guy without any ties to the modern world, he just set myself up as a freelance crime fighter, just help people out that way.
Real simple premise.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of stuff that Eisner did in the Spirit, has it's been done to death. The simple vigilante premise. It's not going to come off. It can't help but come off as a little dated, in these days when everyone's trying to reinvent the superhero premise after 30 years and all.
Right.
Yeah, but then you get a lot of these things are some nice straightforward crime stories with Denny getting mixed up with some girl over international espionage or some crime stuff. And then you get some nice interesting ones where he encounters this one guy who can fly, or this or like this toy machine gun who wants to be a real machine gun. It's odd, but it's got a certain sense of whimsy that doesn't look to be present in the film. And I'd say it's just like, I think the tagline was action, mystery, and adventure, and that's all the series promises, and like that's pretty much what you get. I mean, it's good stuff. I mean, I say the Best of the Spirit is worth buying, mainly because it's a look back into the olden days of comics.
And you're saying that for a 1940s comic, it holds up reasonably well.
Yeah, as well as you can. Yeah, like I said, as well as you can expect. And Eisner's art, even like it's definitely old. It's like it's very expressive. It's like and also very well detailed in parts. So like that holds up. Probably his art probably holds up. His art and the layouts he does hold up much better than the actual stories themselves, so to speak. Yeah. So like I give this a mild recommendation. However, as far as like dusting off an old concept and adding a new sheen to it, the new Spirit stories by Darwin Cook actually do a good job of updating on the style of Will Eisner. I mean, Darwin Cook, he's done some good stuff with the reboot he did of Catwoman with Ed Brubaker, and also I believe he's also got some past history with the Batman the animated series as well.
Gotcha.
Like Cook has never been about trying to reinvent the wheel. All his aim has been, like stuff I've read, he's just been about making the just making sure the wheel looks good and it gets you where you want to go in style. And that's what what these new stories of the Spirit do. I mean, it's very, very efficient, very stylized. Like, well, not very stylized, just very, very efficient stories, just done with a maximum efficiency, minimum of stupidity. I mean, in these stories you get Denny Cole trying to save a newscaster who can't stop narrating their escapades, even as they're being chased. You get him going out Mexico with one of his old crime fighting buddies to, I don't know, track down an associate of the crime boss, the Octopus. And like a nice interesting slightly revisionist take on his origin, which basically sets up the one thread that apparently going to carry through the like his 12 issues of the series that he did about the other guy who was hit with the chemical that sent him into suspended animation as well. I mean, it looks very good thanks to Cook's some slightly retro cartoonish art, and it's all done in a professional manner. It's like I'd recommend this to anyone who, like, if you like the old Spirit stories, I'd recommend giving this a shot, because like Cook's sensibilities work well with Eisner's, and he does a good job of honoring Eisner's style, and while not duplicating it, does it well on his own.
Gotcha.
The only knock against the series I have to give is the Spirit Batman crossover, which comes at the end of the volume. Which, well, I mean, it's basically you get the Spirit's Rogues Gallery meets the Batman's Rogues Gallery as they're trying to take out this detective convention in Hawaii, and it's not bad, but as written by Jeff Loeb. Let me just say that all the regular issues of the Spirit in this collection were written by Darwin Cook. The Batman Spirit was written with Jeff Loeb.
Okay.
Loeb makes the error of trying to throw in every villain for both Batman and the Spirit, and it just comes off really overstuffed, and dealing with all the villains in pretty much like their dead simplest way possible.
Gotcha.
Which, to be honest, like, it would have been best to just dial it back a little, Yeah. But anyway, like I said, if you're not going to be honest, like right now, I'd recommend you go and spend your 20 so bucks on either the Best of the Spirit or Darwin Cook's the first volume of his the Spirit collection, like, rather than just like spend the $10 on going to see the Spirit themselves. Yes, it's twice as much, but I guarantee I'm fairly certain it'll be twice as entertaining. Though, like I said, I hate to judge a movie before I've seen it, but.
The trailers
John, yeah, what do you think about the movie?
The trailers, well, I haven't seen it. I probably will go and see it, but the trailers do not look promising to me at all. They look very highly stylized, kind of in the same vein as
it's Sin City all over again.
Yeah, however, it just didn't seem. I'm like, oh, this seems a little. I don't know. maybe campy, but that'd be like the trailers don't impress. They don't impress at all.
I don't know. If anything, we're probably like waiting years until we hear that this movie has gained itself a cult reputation, and then we'll wind up having to recant ourselves on a later podcast.
But right now, I'm having a hard time parting with $10 to go and see it. So just based on and I've seen all 3 of the trailers, so I mean, none of them have struck me. So that's my opinion on that.
Okay, and on that note, it's time to wrap up this year, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.